Hello and welcome to my life. Today is January 12th and we are officially on our own and out of the country. We are on a Norwegian cruise. This is day 2. We loaded the ship yesterday, said goodbye to my mom and everybody, and now we're just lounging. We just had breakfast. Joe's playing video games until Kids Club. And this is our first Norwegian cruise. I'm pretty impressed so far. Little things that they do well, and all I can compare it to is Carnival, because that's all we did one Disney cruise, but I'm comparing to Carnival, and so far I can say that the breakfast on Norwegian is better. I was never impressed with the breakfast on Carnival. Today we're at, I think, their private Bahama island. And we're on deck 8, by the way. This is Norwegian Prima, so if you ever get on the Prima, deck 8 is where it's at, because they have a food hall that no one really goes to for breakfast, so we're able to easily get food, find a table. This is outside. They have like these beds in little pool areas. And then you can see over there the island. So we'll check that out today. So we're gonna go play mini golf today, and it looks pretty fun. Before we got on the boat, there was a couple of videos we watched, and I read a couple of reviews online talking about how terrible this ship is. It was built in 2022. It's one of their newest ships, and people talked about how the layout's terrible, and the staff is rude. Like, I just kept seeing comments about that. And again, we're coming from Carnival, so I don't know what it compares to, like Celebrity or Princess or any of that. But the staff is nice enough to us. Like, they're not like going out of their way to say hello and stuff. Shane referred to it as like Aldi, how I don't know, all these staff, they're gonna be there and they're gonna do their job, but they're not gonna like go out of the way to help you or anything. And
it's like the over the top.
Yeah.
Like Carnival, it almost feels fake, where they're like, "Hi, good morning, how are you today?" And it's like, I know you don't love this job that much. You know?
Yeah.
And here it feels real. Like they're pleasant, they do their job, they do what they need to, but it's not like, it doesn't feel fake and over the top. It doesn't feel rude at all. But
No.
I could see how it would feel jarring if you're used to like that Carnival vibe, where everyone's just like, "How are you today?"
Yeah.
Like you're special.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Joe really likes upstairs, so cruise ships typically have like ping pong tables and foosball tables and that stuff. They have like a beer pong table,
Yeah.
and Joe really likes it.
I played it with my dad, and it was crazy. It was way too windy to play though.
It was too windy. Oh, windy.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah. But we're having fun, right? You having fun?
I mean, it's only the first day.
Yeah, it's only the first day. So today, again, we're in the Bahamas. Tomorrow we're going to Jamaica. That'll be a first for us. And then we're going to the Cayman Islands. That'll be a first for us. And then we'll go to Cozumel before we head back to port. And when we get back to port, we're immediately going to take an Uber to the airport and take a night flight to Spain. So we are officially out in the nomad scene, and we are excited. I am officially in Spain. I'm going to talk to you today about our experience with a cruise. So we are seasoned Carnival Cruise Line cruisers. We've done one Disney cruise before, and we did another one. I forget. Shane and I did one for our 5-year anniversary. I don't remember which line it was, but this was our first Norwegian, and it was on their Prima ship. The ship was built in 2022, so it's fairly new. It's big. It held over 3,000 people on it. And the reason we decided to do the cruise was because we wanted to have just a little bit of a shift before we moved officially out of country and into another place where we didn't speak the language. We just wanted a little bit of familiarity, a little bit of a break. I also got a ridiculous deal, or I thought I got a ridiculous deal. I'll get to that in a second. They had a promotion where they were letting kids sail free, and I learned that apparently in January they give really good deals. Like all the cruise lines typically give really good deals on cruises because it's like the slow season for them. So future note. So it was good. I'll go ahead and say off the bat that we didn't do any of the shows. The cruise went to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Cozumel. And the only port we got off on is Cozumel. And all we did was walk maybe a mile down the road, and then we walked back on. So I can't tell you anything about the shows or the ports. And honestly, I love cruises when people are off the boat because I get anxious when there's a lot of people around me. So when half of the people or more are off the ship, I take that as my time to go explore and sit in all the areas and play the mini golf and whatever else there is on the ship. That's when I enjoy it. So that's why we didn't get off the port. The reason we didn't do the shows is because the way the Prima is set up, and I saw this with a lot of reviews, and it was what people said. It seems like they built this ship to hold a lot more people, but they didn't think through the details of having, over 3,000 people on a ship, because all of the little areas where they did the comedy show, the Broadway shows, all of that, they were really small for the amount of people on the ship. So there was one night where we tried to go see a show, and we got there 30 minutes before showtime, but we walked in and we couldn't find a place to sit. So we just walked back out. So that's why we didn't do those. The highlights of the ship, though. So if you ever do the Prima ship, decks 8 and deck 17 are the jam. So deck 8 is the only deck on the ship where you can go outside and walk around the entire ship, and it's really nice. And they have on both sides of the ship these clear paths so you can walk and see the water down below you. And on deck 8 there is also a food hall, and that was really cool. So it's like a little I don't know if you've been to a food hall that Birmingham and Orlando had a few of them too, where they would take an old building and renovate it and put a bunch of small local vendors in, and you could go and you could order different kinds of food, and then there were these common areas to sit and eat. And they did that same kind of concept on the Prima ship, which is really cool. So there was an Indian restaurant, there was a tapas restaurant, there was a barbecue restaurant, there was a rotisserie chicken restaurant, and a few more that I can't really remember. But the Indian was legit. At night time, if you went to eat there during dinner, they had these naan breads that they actually made in tandoori ovens. And tandoori ovens are these round, typically I think clay ovens, where when they make the bread, they slap it onto the sides of the oven, and that's how they cook. So they had their own metal versions of those tandoori ovens, and so the naan bread was legit. The barbecue was pretty good. Let's see, the rotisserie was okay. The tapas was okay, but the Indian place was really good, and it was nice to have a little bit of a variety for lunch and dinner. They also served breakfast down there, and that was a fun hidden secret, if you will, because it was the same kind of breakfast foods that you would find upstairs in the buffet or in the dining halls, but much less people went there. So it was nice for us to just, again, not be around a billion people and go and have our breakfast. So we did that. And then deck 17 had the pool area, you could walk upstairs to deck 18, where on both sides of the ship, there was one side where they had golf carts or go-karts, and the other side of the ship had water slide. Shane and Joe really loved the water slide. They also had these dry slides that went down a few flights. We didn't do any of those, but they looked fun. And Joe and Shane did the water slide probably 100 times, at least 30. So they said that was pretty fun. It was the only water slide, but they said it was worth it. And then what I loved though was inside on the front of deck 17, they had an observation lounge that wrapped around the front of the ship. And there were all of these lounge chairs set up, and you would see people like drinking and playing games. And they also had late morning breakfast and late afternoon snacks. So we would go and hang out there a lot. That was awesome. And you could just sit and like look out at the ocean. But the downside is those were the only two floors, unless you were a gambler and went to the casino on deck 6, that people could hang out at. So the days where we at sea, I did not enjoy them. We just stayed in our room for the most part because it was just way too crowded. Because again, it just felt like the cruise line didn't think through how to get a bunch of people. Like they figured out how to put a bunch of people on the ship, but not how to like make it to where they could actually do anything on the ship.
So here's our room tour. I like this part. This is another thing I like. They have inside like a way where they know if you're home, and you can put the do not disturb or like make up the room so they don't have to knock and find out. Welcome in. So immediately we got some closet space. And then over here we have, it's kind of hard to open, but we have 2 different parts for laundry, for clothes. And then this is the bathroom. The bathroom's actually really spacious for a cruise. The shower is really nice. And then you got a little desk area. And this is Joe's. It's a couch that turns into a bed. Our bed. The balcony.
All that said, it was okay. It was not what we expected it to be, as far as we were wanting like just some downtime and time to reset. And instead, it reminded us why we were leaving. That sounds bad, but yeah. So I don't know if this is a term that my husband found somewhere else or if he invented it, but he talks a lot about what is called inshitification. And when I say it, you probably already know what I mean. In the last few years, I feel like things have gotten more expensive and the value has dropped. So everything from like when you buy a big bag of Doritos and you open it up and there's only like a quarter of the bag filled with actual chips in it. Disney was like this for us when we first moved. We moved to Orlando in 2020, right after COVID. And we moved like the month before Disney opened back up. And our times of vacationing to Disney and that first year after they opened up after COVID were like amazing. They were just amazing. The food was amazing. The customer service was above and beyond. It was amazing for us. And then it just kind of started falling, and it felt very much like Disney was just taking money and not giving experience anymore. We actually let our annual passes go a year ago. So we just moved from Orlando, but we had already stopped going to Disney a year ago. And honestly, Disney's the reason we moved to Orlando, because my husband and I were both working online, and we were like, we're always spending our vacation money at Disney. Why don't we just live there so we can actually vacation other places? And then we just stopped going to Disney. So we were like, well, I don't know why we live here anymore, because Orlando is also really expensive, and same thing, inshitification everywhere. And it just felt that way on the ship. It felt the way they had the ship set up, the way we were treated. And that's why we're doing the Nomad thing, or part of the reason. We are in Spain right now, and one of the things that we're doing here is getting our doctor's visits and our dental checkups done. And the reason we're doing that is because, one, Spain is rated in the 20th percentile of the best healthcare in the world. It's affordable. Even as a cash patient that'll be going to a private clinic here, it'll be more affordable than paying for healthcare in the US. And I feel like they care more about their people than America does about theirs. So medical is definitely a part of it, but cost is another part of it. And I know costs are rising everywhere, even here in Spain. But in the US, you know, making six figures is like barely making it anymore. When Shane and I moved to Orlando 5.5 years ago, we were eating out like 3 times a week at least. And over the last 2 years, it was like maybe once every 3 months. It became unaffordable. Grocery costs, don't get me started on the cost of paying for groceries. Our power bill went up crazy amounts. It was just unaffordable. And I don't want to work to live. I want to live and, you know, make enough money to live. I don't want my career to be what I live for. And that seems to be more my values about work and life are more in line with Europe. So that's another reason we're here. So yeah, the cruise is okay, but Spain's awesome. I'll do another video about that. We have been here for 3 or 4 days now. It was a lot of travel to get here. We had a 15-hour day in the airport, followed by an 8.5-hour flight. We were going to originally we flew into Madrid, and originally we were going to take a high-speed train from Madrid down to Malaga and then bus over to Estepona. But there was the day before we were planning on that, there was a crazy train crash that same train route. And I think they found over 50 people dead. There's still a lot more missing. It's just this crazy thing. And trains don't wreck like that here. It was just this crazy weird thing. So we ended up having to just stay the night in a hotel. And then the next day we got up and we're fortunate enough to find and book a flight from Madrid to Malaga and then taxi over to Estepona. So, and then as you can probably tell from my voice, I caught a cold. Yay travel. And we've been here for 2 days now, and I feel like I'm just now settled in and adjusted to the time change. But the people have been super friendly. The food has been really good so far. So yeah, I'll do another video on that soon, but I'm excited to be here and excited to see where we go next.